Good day, my name is Christel from Frans the Klerk, Independent Technical Analysts. Roger was adamant and asked us if we could start with Naspers. And Roger, I can see why. Since that share found support on the 24th of October 2022, it just rallied to the top. There was a small breather between the week of the 14th of November and the 21st of November, and the momentum to the top is clearly in place. Some analysts might even view this as a lamp pole formation, which is a dangerous formation because once the pullback starts to take place, it basically destroys all the profits and everything in its way and more. All right. But I want to use a horizontal line here and show the strong resistance. And if I look back at the history, we can see how we tested it, kept it a support, kept it at a resistance here in October 2021, and again a strong resistance July 2022, and now it's changed it into a support. And that level is rating at 2,672 Rand 13. Should this level remain a support, we can say that this is a beautiful cup and handle formation. And I say a cup and handle, why? Because this support is a little bit higher than the previous support here. And a cup and handle formation is a positive formation once that resistance, once that neckline changes into a support and remain one. All right, the conservative target of the cup and handle formation is the length of the handle projected upwards from the neckline where the formation was confirmed, taking it back to 3,556.57, or the full target is the full length of the cup projected upwards from the neckline, taking it back to 3,866 Rand 25. It's not a guarantee, it's possible targets for the formation. And remember, as the share develops and the buyers and sellers come in, different formations can appear that can wipe this optimism off the table completely. However, I want to say that when will this optimism be off the table? When can we say, listen, this becomes obsolete? Once the bottom part of the handle, and that is waiting at 1,760 Rand and 1 cent. Once that level changes into a resistance again, can we say, hey, this cup and handle is off the table, let's see how the share develops. But as the share rises to the top, there's different support levels that we can use to take profit, or to say, listen, this will be my first sign of weakness, will be below 2,445 Rand 90. At the moment, the momentum to the top is in place. My 40-week moving average has changed into a beautiful support. And what does that red line represent? It is the long-term sentiment gauge. It tells us that the long-term sentiment towards this share is now positive, or as long as that remains a resistance, the long-term sentiment towards Naspers was negative from the 3rd of May 2021 all the way back to the week of the 20th of June 2022. So that is a nice indicator to use to say, as a long-term investor, is my sentiment, am I feeling towards this share, is it positive or has it changed to negative? Naspers look good, Roger. Keep an eye on that 40-week moving average, and as I say, those support levels that I've highlighted there. Mark wanted us to look at Famous Brands, a share that's been struggling with a possible head and shoulder formation. And we say possible head and shoulder formation because in this right shoulder, a falling wedge formation has become a possibility. And we can see, I'm going to highlight that for our viewers, it has tested it a couple of times now, clear lower highs, right, which we know the bell rings for a little bit of pessimism. But now once that upper band of this falling wedge changes into a support, this falling wedge becomes a positive formation, and the question will be, what is the target of this formation? The textbooks say you should take the tail of the wedge. That is very greedy for me. I like to take the middle part of the wedge, projected upwards from that upper band, meaning Famous Brands can possibly go to 74.66 should this full formation play out. we can see that red line, that 40-week moving average, is weighting very closely to that upper band. What does that mean? It means that this is a strong resistance. It means this is a strong roof that the buyers needs to break through in order to sustain the momentum to the top. All right. So once the 40-week, and that is waiting at 60 Rand 13, changes into a support, and that upper band waiting at, and I'm projecting there at 60 Rand 93, changes into a support, we can almost say, hey, they've drilled through this resistance, and should there be enough buyers, this share can move to higher levels. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't mean it cannot go lower. Of course it can. Once the sellers come in and they say, hey, I want to get rid of my stock, the next strong support is waiting at that lower band of the wedge, and that is waiting there, depending on how long it takes it to get there, at around 51 Rand 30. That is where the strong support of the lower band of that wedge is waiting. My stochastic is in mid-zone. It's sitting there at a 63 with a negative divergence. That is not strong enough for me to accumulate or to take profit yet. I prefer to do it when it's stretched, right? When it's either overbought, choppish above an 80 or a 90 to sell or to consider taking profit, or oversold when it's below a 20 or 10 to use it as a buy or to accumulate more in your current position opportunity. So when it sits there at a 63, what does that mean? It says wait a little bit, wait to see. Let them play their hand. Let's see how this graph develops over time, Mark, and then make a decision. Assuming you've got a current position at the moment, that strong support that needs to hold, Mark, is waiting there at 57.30. And if you go, and let's just use a horizontal line, because remember, you can use horizontal lines or diagonal lines to identify strong support or resistance levels. So that is a critical level for me, 57.34, because I can see it's been tested a couple of times and remained either a support or a resistance. So Mark, I would use that as my protection level for famous brands. Grindrod, Philip. Philip wanted us to look at Grindrod, ticker GND. Philip, I mean, how beautiful, hey? I mean, this share just skyrocketed to the top from the beginning of the year. I mean, it kicked off at around 4.70 Rand. And again, look how beautiful. Once that 40-week moving average, that red line, right? Once it changed into a support, and that is waiting at that stage, was waiting at 4.82 Rand. Once that level changed into a support, there was almost no stop to this share. Just skyrocketed to the top, found resistance at around 11.48 Rand. Pulled back, massive breather, back to, and I'm going to use a horizontal line again. I want to show you that level. That is waiting at 8.79 Rand. Rose again, and again found resistance at 11.36 Rand. Take note here, Philip. This resistance at 11.36 Rand, right, is a little bit lower than that resistance at 11.48 Rand in the week of the 22nd of August of this year. That implies a little bit of lower highs, tells you be careful. But more importantly, this can become a possible double top formation. And I'm saying a double top, some might say distorted double top, because the resistance are not exactly at the same levels. But it's so close for me, I'm going to call it a little bit of a distorted double top, all right? Double top, triple tops, and head and shoulder formations, Philip, are warning formations. It tells you that if this resistance of 11.36 and 11.48, if that does not change into a support again, the orange lines are flashing. The important level that needs to remain a support is waiting at 8.79, and that, ladies and gentlemen, again, look, it's waiting very closely to that red line, the 40-week moving average. If that level changes into a resistance, the full target of this double top is the length of, I'm using the left shoulder at the moment, projected downwards from the neckline, can take it back to 6.07 Rand, assuming this formation plays out, all right? This worst case scenario, assuming this formation plays out. Often A double top, triple top, or head and shoulder formation can take the share even lower than the possible target for the formation. All right, so keep an eye on this one, Philip. Have a look at that 879, the 40-week moving average, and those resistance levels. This might become a double top formation that is warning the share is in overbought territory. I mean, after this massive rally, it's expected. All right, that elastic band is stretched to the side, making the probability for a pullback more likely. Grindrod, massive rally, so consider taking some profit, but use those resistance or support levels. And remember, these are all weekly graphs, so make your decision based on a Friday close. If you use a textbook, if you want to preempt it a little bit, wait for the evening close. All right, Ed wanted us to look at Sun International. Also, I mean, beautiful support on that 40-week moving average. Look there. Once that 28 Rand and 6 cents changed into a support, Sun International just skyrocketed to the top. Beautiful higher lows, right? Since about April 2020. Beautiful higher lows. It's stunning how the share has kept that 40-week moving average a support. That is seen as very positive, and we can assume then that this is a critical level on the Sun International graph that needs to be obeyed, right? So as long as 29 Rand 67 remains a support, the long-term sentiment towards Sun International will be positive. The strong resistance that needs to be overcome and change into a support was in the week of the 21st of November of this year, and that is waiting at 37 Rand 37. That is the strong resistance that needs to change into a support in order to sustain the momentum to the top. Nicely overbought, but I can clearly see momentum to the top on this share is clearly in place. Now, if we want to sell, where's the support levels? Let's have a look there. Strong support there, waiting at where previous resistance was found at 32 Rand and 8 cents. A critical level that needs to remain a support in order to. So what can happen is Sun International might come all the way back, assuming as low as 32.08, and then it's very important for the share to keep this level as support in order to say, hey, the buyers are then buying the dip and protecting the share again for some upside. 32.08 Ed is the strong support, and as I say, that resistance at 37.37 needs to change into support in order to sustain the momentum to the top again.